Do you need to get Wi-Fi into a part of the house where there's no Wi-Fi coverage? Well, stay tuned and I'll show you how using one of these Wi-Fi access points. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. On this one I'm fitting a Wi-Fi access point. So you can imagine the scenario: you've got your router in the house, one end of the house, and the far end of the house you can't get any signal on Wi-Fi at all. They do these little plug-in Wi-Fi extenders that you can buy off the shelf, but a lot of the time they're so unreliable and not up to scratch. So yeah, on this one, that's exactly the scenario here. They've got a router, one end of the, it's only a bungalow, one end of the bungalow, and her bedroom is right at the very end of the bungalow where there's been an extension on as well. Trying to fit a Fire Stick, an Amazon Fire Stick, into the TV. The Fire Stick can't pick up the Wi-Fi at all, and she's often in the bedroom, you know, on her tablet, on her phone, etc. And she's opted to have a Wi-Fi access point, so a proper hardwired access point, not one of these plug-in phone extenders that uses the power lines. Those things are pretty naff. This is a proper hardwired solution. So this is a cable running from her router all the way across the other end of the house into her bedroom, and that's where I'll fit something called a Wi-Fi access point. This is what I'm using. This is what I use a lot of the time. This is the TP-Link version, TP-Link Omada. I'm sure you can get them retail, but I get them through my trade suppliers. And this basically enables her to have, well, just imagine picking up the router and sticking it in her bedroom. That's basically what it's like. So the router will stay where it is, giving Wi-Fi across that end of the house. This will be attached in her bedroom, giving really good Wi-Fi, good coverage. So whatever speed she's getting at the router, she'll have almost exactly the same in her bedroom, that end of the house. So all of her gadgets will work. So that's it really. I've already run the cable through because you don't need to see a video of that. But we'll be fitting this, which will be powered by what's called a PoE injector, this, and I'll show you in more detail in a minute what's actually going on. So I'm gonna have my cup of tea. Oh, incidentally, let me show you. I asked her for a cup of tea. Look at all that. I said, no thanks. Well, it's very sweet of you, but I'm on a diet. It's January, you know, everyone's on a diet. I might have one, we'll see. But right, I'm going to crack on and I'll take you inside and show you what's going on. Okay, so we've got the router here. I'm going to run a cable from, so basically the cable is going to come from the router and plug into the power injector, which I'll show you again in a minute, which is one of those boxes I just showed you. So the cable's going to come from that, plug into the power injector. That's giving it a signal. The power injector plugs into the mains down there, and then run this cable from the power injector to the access point. And in this case the route is straight up all the way across the loft, keep going that way, and the cable is actually on the other side of this wall and the outside coming out down there, and I'm looking to come through the wall hopefully down here with the cable. I'll bring the cable through here, and that's where I'll fit the access point, giving Wi-Fi all, you know, in this room and the adjacent room, but more importantly to feed into this, you know, there's the Fire Stick there, and that's where it'll get its signal from, this thing. Or I'll have to come through down there, not really sure yet. Yeah, right guys, okay, so the cable's all been running. I've got it, so I've got one end of the cable by the router, and the other end of the cable goes through the loft, down the outside of the wall, and comes in through the wall in the bedroom here. All right, so in case you're wondering, it's it's a Cat5 cable, data cable, Ethernet cable, whatever you want to call it, but it's Cat5. This is a Cat5e cable, so it's designed to be outside as well. It's 4 twisted pairs, so there's 8 little cables inside there. It's a standard data cable, same as an Ethernet cable. You can use Cat5 or Cat6 or Cat7. Something on a domestic install like this, Cat5 is absolutely fine. It's only run about 10-12 meters as well. So Cat5 is fine. So what will happen is this cable here, fit a bat box over it there, put this bat box over there. Alright, so it's a standard single pattress box, surface pattress box. I'll knock that center knock out there, basically make a hole there by breaking that out, put that over it, attach that to the wall, and then I'll attach the access point to the front of it. All right. On the end of this cable, I'll have to trim it back obviously, but on the end of this cable, we're going to have what's known as an RJ45 connector. They're the standard connectors you get on any Ethernet or data cable, so like that. All right. This is the part where it's a bit tricky. This often puts DIY installers, puts them off really, because it is fiddly. If you've never done it before, it is fiddly, I've got to say, but there are loads of videos on YouTube on how to do this. But so basically this cable will have one of those on it, and that'll plug into the back of the access point. The other end of the cable will have another one of those connectors connected to it, and that'll go into what's called a PoE injector, power over Ethernet injector. I'll show you what that is in a minute, but I'm going to get this back box installed and get the access point fitted. This side, so this room is done, and then it'll all be back to the other end by the router. All right. Okay, so as you can see, I've got the back box mounted. That's just a standard Patras box. It's a good quality one, it's not too brittle. You can get some cheaper ones which are really cheap plastic or very brittle plastic, and if you over tighten a screw, the whole thing just shatters to pieces, so you don't want that. So that's quite a robust plastic one. There's your cable coming through. I'm going to trim that back, prep it, put a connector on there, and I'll show you what that looks like at the end. Yeah, so inside this white cable, you got 4 pairs, a bit like a telephone cable if you've seen it. So you got white and orange, green and white, blue and white, and a brown and white. All right, you see that? Okay, I've got to split those pairs up to make 8 very thin cables, and they all have to be inserted into the RJ45 connector, the one I showed you. They all have to be inserted into this tiny little thing in a certain order, a certain way up, and then you clamp it down with a special tool I've got. It can be fiddly. I've been doing this for years, and it still takes a few minutes to do each connector. If you've never done it before, it can be a bit of a pain. But if you're, if you know what you're doing with these, then great. See those cables in there? That's that connector on and prepared. All right, so it's still quite long, but you can coil up the excess within that box. That's fine. So now we're going to add the access point. So this is the TP-Link Omada Wi-Fi 6 compatible, well, enabled. Not that it makes much difference in the domestic setting like this, but yeah, it's a decent access point, and this will be just like mimicking having the router sat in this room, so it's really good. But there's loads of different companies and loads of different brands of these, all right? And that is what it looks like. Just a little light on the bottom there. Connector plugs into the back of that. There's a little wall plate in there that attaches to the box, which this then sits on. And yeah, that's it really. There's a bit more to it because we've actually got to set the thing up. It's not just plug and play. You have to download an app for the Omada, the TP-Link Omada app, to enable to activate these things. Incidentally, on the bottom of them, there's actually 3 Ethernet points, and one of them I think is PoE. Yeah, that one there, the last one, that's also a PoE output to power, say, an internal camera or something, a CCTV camera. But there's 3 data ports, so you can have them in your office to give good Wi-Fi, but also hardwire your computer or your laptop to, or a games console, anything. So yeah, great pieces of kit. Not quite user-friendly just for the average person, just buy off the shelf and plug and play, because like I said, you've got to prep these cables, you've got to download an app and set them up, so they're not quite just the sort of thing you just buy off the shelf in Curry's or that sort of place. They're designed for the trade, but if you know what you're doing, or if you know a local installer who can do it, these things are great. There are loads of different brands that do them, but I stick with this one because they're trusted and I know how they work. So basically, I'm going to get this attached on here and get that attached on there, and I'll show you what it looks like. All right, so this is the back plate that comes in the box. It slides over the cable, and there are 2 screws that come in the box. I'll go through that. And we do those screws up and attach the access point to it. Incidentally, I should say, so this Surface Box, this is just a quicker, cheaper, easier way of getting something mounted. This is going to be behind a chair, this unit, just giving off a good Wi-Fi signal. But you can't, these things are actually designed into a socket that's actually chased out into the wall. So like a normal power socket is, sunk into the wall, not surface mounted like this. You just attach it to that and it sits flush on the wall. It's great. But this is just a way of getting something mounted without having to chase the wall out, because it's a bit unnecessary on a job like this. You get the access point, and that'll clip in there like so. Hear the click? Got to carefully get that cable sort of stuffed in the back here without kinking it, because data cable is notoriously delicate. You can't just cram it in there like power cable. And on the back of this little slots, and that's that. That's it. Okay, so yeah, it's mounted on a Surface Box just to get the thing mounted. Doesn't have to be done like that. There's a little light there, but there's no light on obviously because I haven't connected it to the power. There's no, this obviously needs power to work. There's no power coming through yet because I haven't done the other side where the power injector is, which I'm going to do now. But this, in effect, will be kicking out a good Wi-Fi signal to make the Fire Stick on that TV work. Right, onto the other side. Right, okay, so this is the other side then. We've got the white cable coming on the wall here, which comes from the ceiling all the way down the edge of this, down, into this power injector. That's upside down, but that's the power injector there. So the cable comes in this end. That provides PoE, power over Ethernet. That's what powers the access point that you've just seen in the other room. And this cable, oh, someone at the door. This cable is connected to the router, which provides it with a broadband signal or internet signal. Okay, I'll get it all switched on and show you what to do next. Right, okay, so I've turned on the power, the PoE injector in the other room, as you see. Now, if we come over to this side, I'll put the camera over the back of the chair because I've put the chair back. But there's the access point down there. Can you see that little white light on it? That means that the cable I fitted is sending power to that access point from that injector. I've turned it on and we've got that white light. So now's the part where I've actually got to set it up on the app. So what I'll do is I'll get the app up on my phone, show you what the app looks like, and see what I can show you. Okay, so that's the app you want there, Omada. A bit hard to see, don't know if it focuses well. I don't have the facility or the technology at the moment to show you on screen what my phone's doing without sort of holding it like that, and I can't really focus on it. But yeah, it's in the instructions of any of these things. You have to download the app, and this is where you set it all up. Right, I'll see if I can show you step by step. See if I can show you what I'm doing. So the first thing you need to do is go to the Wi-Fi settings of your phone, and make sure you're nearby the access point that you just fitted. So you turn on the Wi-Fi settings. This is on an Apple iPhone. I don't know if I imagine it's the same for Android, Samsungs and whatnot. You go to your Wi-Fi settings, and there it's displaying the TP-Link 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz SSID. All right. So you select one of them to connect to it, and you'll notice my phone's got nothing at the moment because, well, there's no signal around here. There we are. My phone is now connected to Wi-Fi of that unit. So I can now go back to the app. Oh, and look, standalone mode. It's now showing you the access point that I've just fitted, and there's its details. Okay, so I'm going to click on that device username. So I've got to set up a new username and password. This is for if I ever come back to change the settings on it. So this is the password that I'll give it and a username that I'll give it. All right. So I'm going to do that. Obviously, I can't show you this bit, so bear with me. Okay, so I gave the device a username and a password. That's for somebody like myself to log into it and change the details, okay? Now, wireless basic settings, you need to give the Wi-Fi a name, the SSID, and create a password. Now, this is normally where you'd put the same Wi-Fi name as it is off the router. So if it's BT, blah, 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 or Sky, or TalkTalk, or whatever, put the same details in here and the same password. And so that access point will be the same details as the router. Hence, meaning that the client won't need to use any other details because their phone and whatnot will already be set up to that. All right, you haven't got to do that. You can give it different details if you're doing it in, say, a bed and breakfast or an Airbnb. You can give it guest Wi-Fi and a different password so they don't know the details of your home router, all right, or your home Wi-Fi details. So I'm going to put in the details in here. Again, I can't show you that one because that's private, but I'll put the details in here and I'll show you what happens next. Bear with me. Okay, so I entered the Wi-Fi and password name and you press done. Now it says applying settings and wait a few minutes. Now you'll notice my phone's gone back to 3G, or it's lost the Wi-Fi signal. Now remember, I connected my phone to the Wi-Fi of the actual unit. My phone is still connected to the old details. Now I've changed the access point details. The phone has lost it because it's not displaying the same details. Sorry if that sounds confusing, but anyway. Join again. And now my phone is linked to the Wi-Fi details that I set up on here, on the access point. We're all set. And that is it. That last bit's a bit confusing, I get, but I thought I'd at least try and show you something. And we now have Wi-Fi, a good Wi-Fi coverage in this room, whereas before she had nothing at all. I've got full bars and yeah, decent Wi-Fi signal. So obviously I can get that Amazon Fire Stick on the back of that TV connected to it and everything will work. And that, in a nutshell, is it, everybody. So hope that was helpful. Hope some parts of it are helpful. Yeah, thanks for watching. Again, like everyone says, please, if you did like the video, please like and subscribe. Certainly subscribe, trying to get those numbers up. And stay tuned for my next video, all right? Thanks a lot for watching. Cheers.